Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I'm Tahir Dhindsa and you're watching SDTV. Water, water everywhere, but not a drop to drink. This is a very famous, line which we would speak and which we would read in nursery rhymes. And that exactly happened. There was terrible mega floods in Punjab, in Pakistan, and across the border in India as well. And just the downstream in Cholistan and on Indian side in the Bikaner, there was a water scarcity, and I have heard that cattle was dying because of the lack of water. So what is that? Climate change has brought us at a place where either we need new governance rules or structures or we fall down from the precipice. Indus Water Treaty was a gold standard, and that was working very well for the past many decades. Now, India has suspended or maybe held in abeyance the treaty for the reason they quote as valid, but on this side of the border, Pakistan doesn't accept that, and unilaterally they cannot withdraw that. So, situation is grave, and there must be some solution of this water because it's climate related. We have all seen that. We have today with us a very eminent scholar on water issues. He has written several notes and papers and is a very, very good contributor and taken very seriously across the fence on issues like this. He was the one who started UNCCC and he was talking about the climate change when nobody was talking. We have today with us Ambassador Shafqat Kakakhel. He's the chair of the Board of Governors of STPI as well. Shafqat Saab, very warm welcome. Say something on this water issue which is going on, floods and droughts, and the fight, sort of a fight or skirmish, I would say, bad relationship between India and Pakistan on an agreement, on a treaty which was a gold standard.
Thank you, Tahir, for giving me this opportunity of discussing water issues uh, with reference to the problem of climate change and our difficulties with India in the implementation of the Indus Water Treaty. This morning I read newspapers that the Indus River System Authority, IRSA, which basically manages the apportionment of surface water among the provinces of Pakistan, provinces and autonomous regions of Pakistan. And they said they anticipated a drop, a reduction of 8% in our historic flows of the rivers constituting the Indus basin. And I'm sure many newspaper readers were surprised to read this, given that until recently we had vast tracts of land turned into rivers and literally oceans because of the floods. So how come? On the one hand, the reservoirs of our dams have been able to get full capacity, water covering its full capacity, and on the other hand, we are anticipating a significant drop. You also mentioned that while parts of Sindh, most of Sindh and Punjab received excessive amounts of water, we had parts of the country which have remained thirsty, which have remained without water. Uh, this is actually one of the significant features of Pakistan. Geography and topography is the uneven distribution of water. We basically, Pakistan, if you can call Pakistan a largely dry and humid country with a very low level of rain. between 150 and 200.
mm.
Basically, that's the average in the north. In the highlands, it goes up to 200, but then there are parts, lower areas where uh, not even 100 millimeters of water is received. So one is the that we are essentially a hot and humid and dry country, which also makes for an arid soil. The aridity of our soil means that we require surface water to irrigate for all kinds of needs, for irrigation, for personal consumption, for health and hygiene, for running power stations, for transporting goods from place to place. Now, luckily, we we have the good fortune of having the Indus rivers. We have rivers coming in both from Afghanistan and from India, from what is now India, which used to be
Hindustan.
Pakistan was a part of India. So we have the Indus coming from Tibet and the other several rivers coming from within present day India. And I would like to mention basically two things. One is that climate change, the effects of climate change, which is basically an increase in global warming as a result of the disruption of the climatic system because of the excessive concentration of carbon. And that has come because we are using fossil fuels, coal, oil, gas. We've disrupted the natural system of the climate. Now, what it means is we will have profound impacts on water resources. Where does our water come from?
From
Our
Yemen.
water comes from two sources. One is the high altitude mountains, Himalayas, Karakoram, and Kush, which store huge quantities of snow and ice, and which then
Melts.
melt in an orderly fashion during the summer months. From late May until September, you have historically, a very orderly melting of glaciers. The second biggest source of water is the monsoon winds, which bring rains. You have the winter monsoons, but the real monsoon has come from the word mosam, is the summer monsoon. And now again, you have an extraordinary situation that for 8 months we have very little rain, and for 4 months we have plenty of rains. But together with the ice, with the glacial melt, the snow and ice and the glaciers, and the monsoons, they bring sufficient amounts of water for our rivers, and we have an extensive system of irrigation, which the British developed. They did not stop. It was started by the Mughals and even earlier, but the British basically extended the canal system and established a very effective governance system. Now, on the one hand, we have the problem of climate change, which results in very fast melting of the snows and ice on the glaciers. So you get glacial floods at Ahmad Lake. On the other hand, the monsoons are becoming irregular. You either get them too early and too little, or too late and too
And
much.
too much.
So you get floods together with the water coming from the glacial melt. So climate change, I call it basically a change of water.
For us.
Yeah, for us and for the whole world.
For other, but India is totally unilaterally they put this Indus Treaty in abeyance.
Uh, Now, when partition took place, it cut across the very elaborate system of irrigation that the British had made. We had a situation in Pakistan, what is now Pakistan, Punjab, Sindh, and Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, used to get the bulk of the water, 64 million acre feet from the rivers, the eastern rivers, Sutlej, Ravi, Beas, which the British had developed and were called the largest integrated irrigation system in the world. Now, partition took place on the basis of religion, so the area which was allotted to India in West Punjab happened to be where the headworks
Were there
of the irrigation.
Firozpur and
So the headworks control the channelization of water from the river into canals. And so the British said, when the partition was announced, they said engineers who are likely to go to Pakistan and engineers who are likely to stay, they should sit together and work out arrangements. They could not, because those representing India said, we want the eastern rivers 100% to ourselves. Pakistan said, but 80% of our land, total land which is irrigated, is served by the eastern rivers. So there was a problem, a serious problem. Then the World Bank came, and after 9 years of negotiations, 1951 to 1960, they ultimately reached a conclusion that these two countries will not be able to share and jointly manage water. So the Indus Water Treaty was drawn up, which basically carried out a second partition. So three rivers, eastern rivers, Ravi, Sutlej, Beas, was given to India, exclusive, 100%, no questions asked. Pakistan got the three western rivers, the Indus, Jhelum, and Chenab, which are flowing through India, and India held Kashmir, flowing into Pakistan. So they said these rivers will continue to flow into Pakistan, but while they are in Indian soil, India is allowed to build hydropower stations, run of the river projects, no storage, enough water to run the turbines. 1960 until the mid 1970s, no problem. 15 years of total peace, and then in mid 70, first problem arose. It was resolved by the foreign secretaries. Later, there were two other problems. Now, what the World Bank had done was to negotiate a dispute settlement mechanism. That we bring a neutral expert from outside who knows engineering. There were two other problems, and one was resolved by a French engineer, Baglehar. Their problem, Pakistan was not happy with that because they said you don't have to abide by the treaty, because the treaty talks about the technology of the 1950s. So we went to the Court of Arbitration in another case, but also requested a verdict on that. The Court of Arbitration again approved the Indian designs, but said make some changes. India carried out some changes but didn't carry out others. Pakistan objected. And there was a difference about the method of resolving. All of a sudden, in 2024, India decided. India sent a message on, I think, 24 in January 2024. We want negotiations to amend the treaty. Pakistan said,
Amend the treaty on what grounds? What for? What they want actually?
because they say that we want to, there are new realities.
What?
Climate change. We want to make a renewable energy like hydropower. A population has grown up, but without explaining how. So I wrote a number of articles. Other experts have
But
written.
population has grown on this side of the fence as well.
Pakistan's population has grown 4 times. India has doubled. So if population is a consideration, we would like to have some of the eastern rivers water. Renewable energy. We also use the same rivers for renewable,
What about the water that we don't make dams on for, I mean, 144 million acre feet of water precipitation every year, but we can store only 20 or 21 million acre feet in 2 dams and on Chashma. They say you waste the water and throw it into the sea, and do you think that if we start new dams, that will put this assumption aside?
Actually, electricity can be generated from small rivers. In fact, what we need to do.
I'm talking about irrigation. Because we do not, Kalabagh Dam and other dams, we do not store water, and they say you throw water in sea, Arabian Sea.
We don't store all the water.
We should. Most of it.
Yes, but not necessarily through dams and projects like Tarbela and Bangla, which were needed. They were needed when surface water through canal irrigation was the only way of irrigation. But today, more water is extracted by our farmers through tube wells than the surface water which comes in the canal irrigation. Because we have 1.7 billion.
Are you suggesting that Pakistan should store more water in aquifers now?
Absolutely.
But
aquifer is the best storage because it is not subject to it doesn't
need a concrete structure, but that has nothing to do with India. Their demand that they want to revisit because of the availability of the water that they want to extract from.
No, we told them, look, if you have grievances, there is a process in the treaty. Article 9 of the treaty deals with dispute settlement mechanism. In that mechanism, there are 3 levels. Number 1, you have the Indus Commission. You have senior civil engineers from India as the Indian commissioner and from Pakistan as the Pakistani commissioner, who meet annually. They have to meet once to sort out everything, implement. So far, the commission has only been dealing with Indian projects, electricity projects on the Western rivers. We have never discussed cooperation. We've never discussed climate change. We've never discussed population.
No, but the thing is, they want, now the treaty has been done. Now they want more water from the Western rivers. That's why they want to.
Some of the articles have mentioned that, but it will affect Pakistan because already there is the water is not sufficient.
Okay. So what is the way forward?
The way forward is for the World Bank to summon global experts and Pakistani and Indian experts to sit together and discuss all these issues
And then resolve.
and
I
resolve.
just want to ask a political question. When this Indus Treaty was being done, Pakistan was a darling of the West. Pakistan would enjoy a lot of influence with the West. And we all know that the sum of the money to build Mangla Dam, $200 million, were given by India to construct projects here because they said we don't have money. So World Bank and the arbitrator said, okay, take loan from the World Bank and give it to Pakistan. So do you now that that influence has swinged on the other side?
Well, now at the moment, both India and Pakistan are in the good books of the West. So we are in as good shape as we were in 1960. India has excellent relations with the United States. They have recently some problems, but overall, the relationship is very robust. India has excellent relations with the European Union. So have we. So, at the World Bank, since 1960, since they did the Indus Water Treaty, has been involved in resolving water interstate issues in all parts of the world. You know, transboundary rivers are the majority rivers.
Yeah, obviously.
A smaller number of rivers are those which start and end in one country. Otherwise, rivers cross borders. And the moment a river crosses a border, becomes an international
Issue.
an international waterway. So, I think the only way, and Pakistan has rightly uh, repeatedly called for discussions on all aspects, including
One thing more, India started to two things almost simultaneously, not exact at the same time. One was this holding Indus Treaty in abeyance, they announced, and the second was the Operation Sindoor. Now, the bulk of the narrative from the Pakistan side has gone to this military thing, and somewhere the water issue has dwindled as far as the narrative is concerned. Do you think the real, the catch could have been that they keep you on the military side and put them under the carpet while they have held in abeyance? So, should we do something on narrative?
well, as far as Pakistan is concerned, it has not lost any opportunity
To raise the issue.
to mention the water issue and along with the offer of discussions and dialogue to resolve the issue.
If they stick to their position and start holding the water when you need it, when Pakistan need it, and they don't listen to the international fora and all, what is the opportunity? Are we going with India
What is
on
the
a,
solution?
huh?
Yeah, the
on
only
a water
solution for this problem and for the problem of population, in any case, we are growing at 2.5 to 3% annual. So we bring to this world 6 million people every year, equivalent of the size of Norway. We have to, in any case, rationalize our system of irrigation. Basically, 93% of our water goes for irrigation. This should be reduced to about 60 or so. How do we do that? We do that by micro irrigation, which means you don't flood the field. You take as much water to the plant and tree that is needed. No flooding. Flooding, this is 3,000 years old. And when you had very small population, now we need, I have been to China where they have turned deserts into
oasis?
orchards. And you don't see a canal because all the water is carried by pipes and sprinkler and basically use of hoses for irrigating the land. So you don't need. Israel is one of the great success stories in
On drip
agriculture,
drip irrigation and all
and they
that.
have a small canal which goes from the Dead Sea until to the north of Israel, and but it produces abundant crops and fruits and everything.
Yeah.
Basically, horticulture. We need to rationalize. In any case, even if our problem with India is resolved,
Do
in
we
fact,
do
this is one of the topics that we should have been discussing under the umbrella of the Indus Water Treaty.
right?
Improved irrigation techniques.
Right. Last question: should we build new reservoirs or more? Should we build more reservoirs?
I don't think so because reservoirs are subject to evaporation. They are also, the Himalayas being the youngest mountain system, is also has a tendency of silting up. You know, Varsak had almost
Gone.
silted up. Similarly, dams in India. And Indians mention the Salal Dam as one of the examples. So, Mangla and Tarbela regularly go through dredging and desilting. So, whereas the ground water, the aquifer, does not suffer the problem of evaporation or silting.
Right. Right. Thank you very much. So the bottom line is that we have reached a level which is the next level in the scientific development. Renewable energy now comes from solar energy and from wind, not necessarily through water run turbines. And irrigation has also improved, drip irrigation and all that. And one of the new finding is that we can store water in our aquifers. The problem is then we have to pump it out. And now very successfully farmer has used the solar system to give generation and start to use their pumps. So there is new scientific realities. One, internally, Pakistan has to come up to the new realities, robust management, robust planning, and then obviously these three dams on three western rivers, Pakistan have an exclusive. India has no right to put it into abeyance or unilaterally walk away. So they need diplomacy, and both these problems need narrative, planning, and all that. So I think discussion like this should be more often in the public domain under the umbrella of Indus Water Commission and system and all, and on whatever fora internationally. With this, we come to the end of the program. Sir, thank you very much on giving us time.
Great pleasure.
Thank you, sir.